What's up, guys? This is Nick again, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. Today we are reviewing from a designer's point of view a Galaxy Note 8, this bad boy right here. I made the switch from here to here, and we'll dig into a little bit why and some of the things that I found out that I really like about Android that I didn't expect that I would before. So without further ado, let's do. So one of the first things I want to talk about from switching from here in particular to here, Galaxy Note 8 or any other Android phone, is people are intimidated by switching from the well-established and well-known iOS universe. Like everything is nice and neat and buttoned up and easy to use. And if you're like me, I've been using iOS combined now for like 5 years. And I've never had an Android phone. I had a Windows phone, had a BlackBerry, had an iPhone, had a Blackjack, Samsung Blackjack. Anybody remember that? Probably not, for good reason. But I had it, and I've had everything except for an Android phone because me, aesthetically, as a graphic designer, which is the point of view of this whole video, Android has always been kind of ugly to me. Like, I've never really liked the aesthetic, and also it's kind of like jankiness. I like that you could play around with it and like that kind of stuff, but I didn't like how it actually looked, and that's a very, very big point for me at least. So after doing some research, talking to some friends, they're like, you gotta try it. I mean, like, it's worth at least trying. So I went into the store, played around with one, and I was surprised at how far along Android had come in the look and feel of how they look, especially on Samsung phones. Like, everyone kind of does their own thing with Android, that's the whole point, but Android really looks good on Samsung phones in particular. Also, when you switch from an iPhone to something like Android or whatever, BlackBerry, don't really know why you do that in 2017, but it's your business. Switching from an iPhone to an Android, which I'm getting notifications, you have to switch from everything that you know about this and then unlearn it and relearn it over here. At least that was my perspective. That's kind of untrue because when you think about the apps that you use, in my case, I use Adobe Creative Cloud apps, I use Microsoft apps, I use Snapchat and Instagram, Facebook. When you're in those app silos, they all behave exactly the same. So it's really not a ton to like unlearn or relearn or whatever. Like, that's just, I mean, it's a phone and these apps work the same way on both. I mean, I've had this phone for about 4 weeks and the learning curve was pretty shallow. I mean, it didn't take me long to get up and running. Speaking of up and running, the kids over at Samsung make it ridiculously easy for you to switch. You literally, inside the box, didn't ask for this, inside the box there's an adapter. Looks something like this, where you take the lightning cable, insert it into your iPhone, then you take the other side of the cable, if you need one, this is USB-C, you plug it in here, a little app thing pops up, and you just transfer all of your stuff. It took me like 25 minutes, and I literally had everything from my iPhone onto my Android phone. Stupid easy. I could probably have dug in and like figured it out and like watched some YouTube videos and read some stuff online because like I'm a nerd and like I like to do stuff like that, but it was stupid easy. Not saying that you need to switch, I'm just saying if that's why, it's really, really not complicated to do so. So this is a design perspective for the Galaxy Note 8. And with that, if you're a graphic designer, then if you watch my previous videos, we've talked a bit about Adobe Creative Cloud. Well, inside of the Android and iOS, there are Adobe Creative Cloud apps, and they are here as well. I'm not sure if that's focusing or not, but whatever. They're there. We got Creative Capture, Creative Cloud, Adobe Draw, Adobe Scout, which I've never used, I don't even know what that is, and Adobe Comp, Adobe Draw, Behance, Lightroom CC, Acrobat, Behance. I mean, they're all here. There's a few more, but I don't really use them, so I mean, if I don't use it, then why would I have it on my phone, right? I mean, like, why would you do that? One thing that's especially handy with the Note app, with the Note phone, excuse me, and the Adobe Creative Cloud apps is this guy right here. It comes with a stylus that has, I don't know how many pressure points it has. I mean, I don't know how many, I don't know. I don't really care either. All I know is that when I sketch things out with it, if I draw heavier, it makes a thicker line. If I draw lighter, it draws a lighter line. And I can take notes with it, like physical, like jot down notes, and I can sketch things like that. And using the Capture app, I can then take those things and put them over into my Adobe Creative Cloud. And when I sit down at my computer, it's right there and it's ready for me to take off with it. Like I can literally sit down, sketch out an idea, which I've done, and then go to the computer, bring it up in Illustrator, and then flesh it out from there, like directly here to here, without having to scan or anything like that. That's a magical moment. And it's something that really drew me from iOS to the Note 8 in particular is the stylus, because I have a Surface, as we talked about before, and the Surface Pen is amazing to me. Being able to take digital notes with your hand is next level. Being able to sketch out an idea, as we talked about, like maybe your field notes. Well, maybe you left your field notes at home, but you're always going to have your phone. So if I leave my field notes, I still have a device where I can get these ideas out from here to here and have them on my computer ready to go whenever I'm ready to tackle that logo idea or whatever it is, if it's using OneNote, because it works in there too. It works not just in the Android apps, but it also works everywhere. Like I use Microsoft OneNote, which is, if you're not using that, like if you have Office, then you already have it. Get familiar with it. It's amazing. But you can take digital notes, clippings, anything from around the internet, hand notes, graphic design sketches. You can do, I think, like formulas, like math formulas, anything. You can do all of these things in there, and then it captures it and it saves it up to the cloud, and you have it wherever you go, be it on your phone or your laptop or desktop, whatever it is that you're using. You have it right there for you. So that leads me to my other thing, which is like, this is even more so than my iPhone becoming more of a business tool than I really expected it to. I thought this was going to be like an awesome smartphone, but being able to go through Outlook and chew through things and going through OneNote, like I said, and being able to pull up those notes, scroll through them, make annotations to them, and move on. Also with like sketching and Adobe apps and all of that, like all of those things come together, and it's almost like having a little mini Microsoft Surface in your pocket. So let's talk about some of the other hardware features that's in here. We talked about the pen a little bit, but this also has a quad HD screen, which just, it means ultra high resolution. That also is being said, it also has image stabilization on the front and the back cameras, but you can't do like you can't do like 4K video like that. You can only do 1080 video, which you can only do 1080 video, right? I mean, whatever. It also, like I said, has image stabilization in the back, where like I can be walking, which I've done, and taking video with this, and it almost looks like I'm on a gimbal or some other apparatus. Like it doesn't even look like I'm holding a phone. Like you've probably seen it, like where it gets all like jittery and like you kind of feel like you're not doing so good. Yeah, like this eliminates that, which is awesome. That's what optical image stabilization. Oh, yes, image stabilization. That's what it is. It makes you not feel like you're gonna hurl while you're watching a video from a phone. That's literally all it means. Also, got a glass back, wireless charging, which is amazing. Have a charger next to my bed. I can just take it, boop, lay it down next to the bed, and it's already charging. Like I don't have to worry about fumbling around with cables, waking up misses while I'm coming to bed at like 2 o'clock in the morning because I was watching Transformers, something like that. Don't judge me. But that's what happens, and like that's one reason why it's awesome. It's also awesome because the camera doesn't have a hump on it. Like I'm just like rubbing my finger up and down it. Like there's like a little bit of something right there, but not with the phone rocking back and forth. Is that like really a thing? That's like not an issue. One thing I don't like is it has a digital assistant called Bixby, which was invented by Samsung, which I don't really know why, because I mean it's terrible, number one. Especially Siri wasn't awesome. Like don't get me wrong, like I used Siri, but Siri wasn't like excellent. But Bixby, bruh, but there's a dedicated button for it. So like sometimes you just like bump into it and like it just comes on. And it's like, hey, what do you want to know? I'm like, nothing, because you're not going to tell me anything anyway, so like, why ask? You can also set other digital assistants as your primary assistant. Moving from Siri, I'm like embracing the dark side, and I'm using the Google Assistant, which is kind of awesome, but it's also kind of creepy. I was inside of a Home Depot the other day, and it was like, hey, you're inside Home Depot. You want to take some pictures and upload them to Google? And I'm like, no, why would you ask me that? I don't know. So that's a little bit, but I was able to turn it off, and we moved on with life. It's like all, it's all good. Other thing I don't like is some of the gestures are like a little bit weird. Because of this Bixby button here, it's hard to tell like where the volume rocker is, and if you're trying to do a screenshot, it requires you to hold down the power and the volume down. Well, inadvertently, because the Bixby button is like right there, you hit that, and then it's like, hey bro, let's do some stuff, and I'm like, that's super not what I wanted to do right now, and that's really frustrating. Also, if I wanted to, I can take like the palm of my hand and like swipe across the screen, and like that does it, but like you kind of look like a jackass if you're riding a train and you're like swiping your phone with your hand. Like that looks foolish, but whatever, it's there. I embrace it. One thing I do like, though, I just noticed again, is the always on screen. Like it basically turns off all the pixels except for the ones that are here, and I really haven't noticed much of a battery drop. Which brings me to another thing I don't really like. This thing hates energy efficiency. Like I haven't had to charge my phone like throughout the day in a long time, and I feel like before I go out, I need to make sure that my phone is like 100%. And like while I'm at home, I need to like kind of make sure that it's charged, because this thing plows through battery life like it's nobody's business. But my car has a USB charger in it. I have them like all over my house, so I mean like it's kind of like fine, but I feel like if I go on a trip, then I'm gonna need to be sure that I have some extra battery chargers around, because I don't want to be out somewhere and then like I need help and my battery's on like 2% and I'm in New York City and that's all bad. Then I'm like on Law and Order SVU and like Mariska Hargitay is like, hey, it looks like you had some problems, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Finally, what brought me to this decision is it was time to upgrade. Phone was paid off, and it's time to upgrade again, because that's what we do as Americans. Like, we just spend money on phones, whatever. To get the iPhone 8 literally looked exactly like my iPhone 7 Plus. Like, the 8 Plus looks like the 7 Plus. Like, I mean, if I didn't tell you that this was my wife's 7 Plus, I could literally lie to you and tell you it's an 8 Plus, and you would not know. Like, you literally wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Unless I flipped it around, you saw that it wasn't glass. But I mean, aside from that, you wouldn't know. Started this whole thing from the designer's point of view. As you hold these devices and you use them and you upgrade and you use them over and use them over, it gets a little tiring seeing the same thing over and over again. That's part of the reason I believe that we upgrade our devices, is because we just simply get tired of looking at them. Yes, that's superficial, but it's also like probably like 10th on the list. Like, you want to like upgrade. For someone like myself, aesthetic is like top 3 on my list, so that's more important. Looking at a device and spending that kind of money on a device that was literally identical to the one I had in my hand, that was identical to the one year before that, and then the year before that, like, we're getting into some tough territory. And overall, the general design language of an iPhone hasn't changed since the 3GS. Like, I mean, like, if you look at it just top down, it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. I mean, you can argue that if you want to, but if you look at an iPhone top down, nothing has changed. They've gotten a little bigger, but that's literally it. So it was time to like do something different. Like, I wanted to see something different. My beloved Windows Phone is dead, so like that's not a thing. And I wouldn't go back anyway, because like no Instagram, no Snapchat, no Adobe Creative Cloud apps. I mean, like it was bad. Like 1520 RIP. Favorite device in human history. But that said, it was time to upgrade that aesthetic. So that's why I went with the Note 8. It's sleek. It's very thin. I mean, they all are now. You know, I mean, to have a thick phone in 2017, I feel like there has to be like a reason you're doing that. Like maybe you have a 48-hour battery or something. Like I don't know. Like there's a reason why you want to do that. But aesthetic was a big reason why I wanted to make this jump. Also, I might be in the minority here, and I will admit that. The iPhone X is ugly. I don't like it. I don't like any part of it. It's an ugly phone. And oh, by the way, it's almost just like it's a minor upgrade from the 8 Plus. So like, what's the point? I don't see the point. Like it's an ugly phone with that big old notch, which just has bezels on it. And let's see if I can unlock it real quick. So I mean, there's a little bit of bezel on there. That's my Instagram. So it's there, but it's very small at the top and the bottom. It's not like a huge forehead and chin like the iPhone. Also, it's not just like a disgusting notch at the top that if you're looking at video full screen or if you're looking at photos full screen, you're just gonna clip out part of it. Like that's just deal with it. Like, I mean, like at least that's how I feel like it's being presented. It's just like, oh, here you go. This is what you're gonna deal with. It's not worth the benefit of having that full screen and some of the other things and like you know animated emojis. Like I'm a grown ass man. Like I don't care about that at all. So when it came down to upgrading from my 7 Plus to an 8 or iPhone 10 or moving somewhere else, for me it made more sense to move somewhere else. That's not saying that you should or you're foolish for doing it, because as I've also said, these are just tools, and whatever works for you works for you. So if it's better for you to use an iPhone, continue using an iPhone. I'm not going to judge you. Like if that's what you're comfortable with and you think the iPhone 10 design is phenomenal. Turns out design is completely subjective. So you can think that and it's true. I can think that it's horrible. It's also true, because it's just whatever I want to say or you want to say. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I mean, like more people might agree this way or that way, but whatever. Like do what's best for you. Like one thing I'm going to continue saying throughout the life of this channel is use what's best for you. There's some tools that are probably going to be better to do a job than another, but you do what's best for you, because ultimately it's your hand swinging that hammer. So you want to use whatever hammer is most comfortable to your hand, right? Right. So, in summation, had this bad boy for about 4 weeks, maybe about 5 weeks now. Completely in love. I was really thorough about that 30-day return or 14-day return policy, because I'm like, if I don't like this, like, can I bring it back? Literally took it home, got it charging, and moved everything. Played around with it for like 2 hours. And I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for all my life. Like, this is good stuff. So, that said, that's the Note 8. Those are the reasons why I switched from an iPhone to an Android phone. Hope you found this video informative. Hope you liked it. If you did, like it. If you didn't, I guess dislike it, because you dislike me. I don't know. I mean, which is fine. Whatever. And I'll see you on the next one. Later. Peace. And then like, I need help, and it scared the hell out of me.